Hi, I'm Neil Nobel, editor-at-large of the Prickly Pear, and welcome to the Cactus Patch. Our guest today is Sam Stone, candidate for Phoenix City Council. Sam, thanks for coming by.
Neil, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Seems like we always have these city elections in the off cycle where there's not as much interest. And when that's the case, seems like the city employee, government employee unions have a disproportional influence on the outcome. And it seems like the Republican Party often tends to ignore these races. What's at stake in this race?
The what's at stake is that in this race is determining whether Phoenix is going to stay Phoenix or we're going to become Chicago. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. They do hold these elections very deliberately at times when the only people likely to vote are those who have a direct financial stake in increasing the size of city government. So that tends to be a lot of the vote, and Republicans stay home. They're not paying attention. It's March. We just get slaughtered on that front. And then Mayor Kate Gallegos, since she came on as mayor, has changed the game. And I use Chicago very deliberately. These races used to top out fundraising wise at maybe $250,000, $275,000 per person, which is about where I will end up. But she has used a coastal network of World Economic Forum ties and all these kinds of things to turn these into races where she puts her chosen candidate into each race.
Mm-hmm.
In two cases, including my opponent, they don't even live in the city of Phoenix. My opponent lives in Scottsdale. A judge allowed him to get away with renting a house in the district. And she raises them well over $1 million. And so you end up having to fight $1.2 million, $1.4 million, something like that with 200,000. It's a very uphill thing. The data we have says I'm right in it. This race is neck and neck. But, I look at this and I say, this guy shouldn't even be in the race. There were 8 candidates in the initial field, and 7 of those candidates had legitimate ties currently to the city of Phoenix. The guy Kate Gallego brought in, he's a former Phoenix officer, but he's lived for a number of years now in Scottsdale. And he's a professor at ASU. He is a wolf, or he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And
Wow.
that's what they keep doing.
How do you prevail against such odds?
Well, for one, I've spent 5 years as the chief of staff to the current city councilman, Sal DeCiccio, who's termed out. I have great connections in the district. I've worked hard to get things done for them for many years. And so partially on those connections, partially by running a better campaign than he does. But, we're really stuck to fighting asymmetric warfare. We have to look at it like we're a tiny little country taking on the United States military. And how do you hold your own in that fight? You do things they don't expect. You do things in a different way.
What would you say are the 3 biggest issues right now before the city of Phoenix?
Homelessness, number one. It's then the fentanyl drug crisis that really is driving it. That is number one. We're seeing a massive explosion of chronic street homelessness, and then a lot of associated violence. And then that ties to number 2, which is policing. We are 1,000 officers down from where we were 10 years ago. In the city of Phoenix, we have 1,000 fewer officers. And in the meantime, our city has grown by 20%.
Wow.
We have 543 square miles. And at any given time, there are fewer than about 300 officers on patrol in the entire city.
Wow.
And if you want a third, it's housing. Obviously, we have a huge housing crunch right now.
How can people determine what district they live in order to vote for you? They're going to get something in the mail here. I guess it was mailed, the 15th of February?
Yeah, you're going to get a mail ballot. You can go in on March 14th and vote in person at some vote centers. You can find the information for that on my website at samstone.vote. You can go in there. There's a pop-up you'll see that you can put in. You click the link, you can put in your address. You'll see exactly which district you're in. But at the end of the day, the easiest thing is just to go in there and check. But generally, it's Ahwatukee, Arcadia, Biltmore, North Central, and then curls up into Sunny Slope. It is the most gerrymandered district in the state of Arizona. You have to have them interconnected. So they annexed a 10-foot abandoned railroad right of way between Ahwatukee and Arcadia to try to limit the number of Republicans on the council 10 years ago. So that tells you the direction Phoenix and its leadership are trying to push.
It seems like the Phoenix administration is well left of the population of Phoenix, and they've really used some very clever techniques to get in that position, haven't they?
Yeah, they very much have. And I mean, this is a problem that I saw, and I didn't understand it until I went to work with Sal, and I saw firsthand how local governments operate and dealt with all the people involved. I mean, I think one of the things that conservatives and free market types, free thinkers overlook is that the type of person who is a free thinker, who is willing to take risk in their own life and in the free market, isn't going to go into a government job with relatively low ceiling and just a high floor and lots of security. That's not the type of job that we generally are attracted to. It is the type of job that people on the left are very attracted to, where it's a guaranteed paycheck. They never have to worry. All their benefits are there. They may not make a huge amount of money ever. They may not have much opportunity in terms of real career growth or personal growth from it, but they love the security. And so local governments all the way up to the federal government, there's a reason that a lot of these bureaucracies are massively overstaffed with people on the left.
I'm afraid you're right. I don't know how we break that. How do people help you? If they wish to contribute to your campaign, put up a sign, what do they do? Where do they go?
Yeah, if they go to my website, that's the easiest way. You can contact us there. You can send an email to sam@samstone.vote, but just go to my website, samstone.vote. You can sign up there to help us out. There's a donation link. Obviously, that would be enormously appreciated. I am fighting a guerrilla battle against the power. And so I'm not backing down 1 inch. The data I have says that I am absolutely right neck and neck in this race, even ahead by a little bit, but I'm facing a barrage of negative ads attacking me. I'm going to fight this thing out and hold on, but I need help from everybody. I need folks who are willing to make some phone calls to help get out the vote, do all those things. And you can sign all that up there on my website.
Seems like the Democratic Party can openly aid your opponent. Are you getting any help from Republicans?
Well, so neither party can openly aid my opponent. Democrats are just good at using theoretically nonpartisan networks that are partisan as heck to influence elections. The state party on the Republican side can't actually directly intervene that much, simply because this is a nonpartisan election. So by their charter, they're very limited. Same thing with the Democrats. The difference is the Democrats don't really use their state party as a vehicle to win elections. They use 501c4s that are theoretical nonprofits, but are nonprofit in name only. They're there to be campaign vehicles for their candidates.
Is Greg Stanton still the campaign manager for your opponent?
Not the campaign manager, but my opponent is endorsed by Kate Gallego, Greg Stanton, every notable Democrat official. They're putting their weight behind him. He's using the same campaign team, campaign staff. They all do. So look, this is a huge power network we're up against. But I also come from Sal DiCiccio's office. I'm a fighter. I have no back down in me. And I've run campaigns all across this country. Also, I know how to do this, and I know how to do it better than most. And that is a huge advantage. And my campaign manager, Jamie Kleshik, is a massive weapon because she can do almost everything in the digital world by herself. So our dollar, if you give us a buck, there's no vendors, there's no consultants, there's no special groups that are getting that money. We are putting it directly to use into the field.
Maybe I'm exaggerating here, but it seems to me the nonpartisan status of these races is really a fig leaf, so to speak. That
it's not merely a fig leaf; it's a figment of the imagination of writers at this point, because there is no such thing. I mean, everybody in this race knows Kevin is on the Democrat side, I am on the Republican side, and there's huge gap between us.
Well, I hope to those listening, Republicans need to turn out. Now, everyone is going to get a ballot in the mail, correct?
Well, if you're on the early voting list, you're getting a ballot in the mail. I just found out they changed the rules again. They keep changing the rules. So you're not getting a ballot unless you're on the early voting list. And then you have vote centers open for 4 days ahead of the election. And what we found out yesterday was that they really stuck it to us with that. Ahwatukee, Arcadia, where I'm strongest, there are each only one vote center. And those are the areas that vote the heaviest. In North Central, up near Sunny Slope, there are like 5, and that's my opponent's strongest area. So you can see what they're doing even there. They're trying to make turnout on election day for a lot of Republicans who insist on that right now as hard as possible, and trying to make it as easy as possible for my opponent to get people to come in. I mean, it's really a stacked deck, but I don't want anyone to hear that and be disheartened. Like I said, I think we're going to win this thing. We're in a very good position. We're not taking anything for granted, and we're going to fight.
I think this message to Republicans who are listening to this is we got to turn out. We got to turn
Yeah,
out.
that's it. We have 44,000 Republicans in this district, Neil. And if history is a guide, 30 to 40,000 total votes will be cast. If 30,000 Republicans put Sam Stone down on their ballot and turn it in, either in the mail when they get it, or they go in and vote and they vote for me, we're going to win. And we're going to win big at that point. So, I mean, this is really very gettable if people pay attention and they take the time to cast a ballot.
I think that's the critical thing, is for people to pay attention and turn out. One other thing before we go, you have a radio show on 960 The Patriot. You want to tell us a little bit about that show?
Yeah, so Breaking Battlegrounds with my best friend and co-host Chuck Warren. We started out almost 2 years ago doing that now. We are now have been syndicated now in 6 states. We're in 6 different markets, including Florida, Texas, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. It airs at 3 p.m. on Saturdays here locally in Arizona, 960 a.m. And it is an interview-based show. We usually interview 2 guests per show, each for about a half an hour. And this week we had former Congresswoman Mia Love, who's just written a fabulous book about not backing down from the American dream and seizing the opportunity, not letting barriers get in your way. And then our second guest was U.S. Senator Marco Rubio. So,
oh, wow,
a fantastic show. So,
okay. Well, we hope that readers of the Prickly Pear will turn out for you, and you'll continue to be busy being a councilman and running your radio show. So thanks so much for joining us, Sam, and I hope we'll keep in touch. And the dates that people have to get to the polls, you said there's 4 days. What are those dates?
Yeah, so March 14th is the final day to vote, the Tuesday, March 14th. March 13th, also, you can cast a ballot. And the 11th and or 10th and 11th, they're closed on the Sunday, but they're open Friday, Saturday, then Monday, Tuesday, heading into March 14th.
Sam, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Neil, thank you.